Some cherry poppin' daddies right here on the Tony Jones Show. Zoot Suit Riot, the name of the album. That was Brown Derby Jump. Before that, we heard from one of my favorite bands, one of a very influential band on a young, sexy Tony Jones. You heard from The Cramps, Primitive, the name of that one. You were tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, online at tonyjones.org. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. Of course, the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI, and check out rifreeradio.org. Talking with two enthusiastic young gentlemen from R.I.C.W. And as we were spinning tunes, I thought of, you know how, guys, randomly things just pop into your head? I was thinking about a time I was doing a wrestling show, and Brian and I were talking a little bit about the parallels of being a musician, or a touring musician, or even a small touring musician, and doing professional wrestling. So I had gone out to New Hampshire to do a wrestling show, and I put on a pretty solid match. You know, there's 2 points here. The first point is, at the end of the night, I got paid $50 whole dollars. Now, I had filled up my gas tank.
That's a fortune.
That was about $100. I had rented a hotel room with a couple other guys, so that was about $75. And, of course, we, after the show, wanted to eat, drink, and be merry, so that was another $125. So, the second point is this was back when kind of the hardcore thing was really big. So the gentleman and I had done a thumbtack match, and I had gotten busted open during the show. And then I thought I was fine. I kind of just put a Band-Aid on there or something. So driving back, I had stopped on one of those easy on, easy off gas stations to get like a snack and a drink for the rest of the ride. So I'm sitting there, I'm checking out, and the lady, the register clerk, just has this horrified look on her face. And what I had realized, that the Band-Aid had worn off, and I was proceeding to bleed all over this poor woman's cash register in the middle of the night in New Hampshire, you know, at a 24-hour kind of rest stop type thing. But I made $50. So...
Well, you know what, too, is if you had kept the thumbtacks in after the match, that's a good way to stay awake while you're driving. You won't fall asleep at the wheel. You just keep pulling thumbtacks out and throwing them out the window while you're driving.
Yeah, every time you start to doze off, youch!
Yep.
Ouch! So I want to, and in a couple more, or in one more segment before you guys take off, we'll get to the specifics of the show, because I think that for your organization and for Manchester 65, which is a fairly new business, this is a good opportunity to bring some great entertainment out there. But before we get to the business side of things, the professional side of things, I want to fanboy out a little. I want to hear about you guys' favorite wrestlers, your favorite things about wrestling growing up, and do you see yourself mirroring that as you go out there and wrestle?
For me, I think my favorite guys over the years, like you, I'm a huge Ric Flair fan, Ricky Steamboat, but for me, the guy's Mick Foley.
Yeah.
And I know Flair calls him a glorified stuntman and all, but he, I don't know, especially since I'm older, I'm obviously not a cruiserweight. I'm not going to be flying around. I'm not going to be doing 450 splashes and stuff like that. So, I mean, if worse comes to worse, I can fly into thumbtacks and go through tables and get hit with chairs. And I'm pretty durable. I can do that for another several years without jumping around too much.
For us being old, really, we're not going to feel any different the next day.
Exactly.
You know, we're already going to feel like
that anyway.
How about you?
Well, I was definitely a Jeff Hardy fan growing up. Like, that was my inspiration to get into wrestling. But I was also inspired by other events that happened in wrestling, like the idea of Degeneration X and Stone Cold McMahon rivalry. Like, it was a collection of collected ideas that just made wrestling unique to me.
That's the same thing as, I had gotten a little bit older at the time, but when the Attitude Era started up,
yes,
I think that kind of drew a lot of people back in. So, of course, when we're talking about the big wrestling organization, and I should disclose I am a pretty large WWE stockholder, what do you guys think about, are you still watching it? And, for me, I'm personally not a fan of the kind of new reality show based stuff that's going on right now.
I'm watching it, praying that they return to an older style week after week. I'm a diehard fan, but I see certain things, especially the last several weeks, Those two idiotic Bella twins.
That's painful.
If they do one more promo or cut one more, it's just you're just waiting for it to end. Like now, it's time to go get another beer. The Bellas are on. You know, but I would love to see it. This whole PG era. I think it's just destroyed a lot. And then don't even get me started with TNA, the nonsense that goes on over there. You know, it's just this stuff. It's not rocket science. If you look at the way things develop, you look at the way people's characters are. The stuff writes itself, really. If you have any kind of head on your shoulders, unless your name is Vince Russo, and then never mind any of it.
What do you think? Kind of talking about the older era versus the reality-based stuff that's on now.
Well, I certainly don't watch wrestling anymore. I love wrestling, but it's ludicrous now because they've tried to build, when they start to build a story and then something happens, they try to build a new story, something happens. It's not interesting. I love watching the wrestling. It's a good way for me to have my own ideas, but I love the Attitude Era when it was something new every week.
Right. Of course, luckily now, technology-wise, back in our day, Brian, we would sit in front of the television and watch it live. Now we can DVR it and fast forward through all the crappy stuff.
And we always got the network.
Yeah, well, the network helps too. And the thing that's cool about the network, which by the way is only $9.99, if you hadn't heard about that, the great thing about it is I sort of suffer through Raw and SmackDown, and the best thing about WWE right now is NXT, I think. And but the network, all the stuff that I grew up watching, because I'm a little older, like I said. I saw Ric Flair in his prime live. I saw Andre the Giant and all those people live. So I can go back to those things that I saw live when I was a kid and watch them again. And even great stuff, the highlights of things like Mick Foley going off the top of the Hell in a Cell in 1998. It's just, I can sit there and drink a case of beer and just rewind that over and over and over and over again.
One of my favorites is the Dudleys versus the Hardys versus Edge and Christian.
Yeah, tables, ladders, and chairs.
Yes. That was brutal.
Great
match.
matches.
A great match.
I remember watching that at a buddy's house, and we were just looking at each other like, did that just really happen?
And even the second one where during the match, then Spike Dudley comes out. Yeah. Then Lita comes out. Then Rhino comes out,
Spike Dudley, of course, a local boy from Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Lincoln.
So, big show coming up. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes now, but we are going to do what we always try to do here on the Tony Jones Show, and that is pay a little bit of attention to some local music. So, incidentally, if you're catching the live program here, this next band has a CD release show tonight, and the lead singer just turned 21 years old, so I'm sure she's enjoying herself. This is the Jessica Prouty Band off of Set Me Free. This track is Sometimes I Wonder.